On. All right, everybody, it's been a couple days and there were some small technical difficulties with my previous video, so I'm sorry. I know I try to do about 2 to 3 videos a week, but it's been a bit kind of hectic. So, um, yeah, I want to talk to you guys. Hopefully, I think in my editing, I'll figure out which way it's going. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about relationships while traveling. And I did talk a lot about experiencing my own heart in the previous video, so I'll just put a quick blurb in that so you can see what's up. But the relationships that you have while you're traveling are kind of intense. It's not the same as moving from one place to another. It's when you're continuously moving and your heart has to be open, you're constantly readjusting to new things and going and going. It's a different kind of experience. So, a friend once said that for her, one day, one relationship for one day is kind of like 3 weeks. And 1 week is like 2 years. So you know someone and it's very deep. It's not like a quick friend that you met in a bar and you go back to the same place every day. This is kind of in higher gear. So there's that aspect. And I talked about meeting someone and falling in love when I first got to Ghana. I was like 23, and I got to experience what love felt like outside of the children. And then now I'm reflecting on my experience here in Thailand and meeting many people and having great relationships. I met this girl, Anne. She's from Vietnam. Pratika. You want to be my YouTube video? Say hello. And she was like one of my first friends. I just felt like I loved her so much. And then I later met somebody else, and it just kind of it was like a readjustment period, having to realize that maybe the way that I had been understanding relationships in the past was not the same. Like now I'm traveling, now I'm backpacking, now I'm moving forward, now I'm not staying in one place stagnantly and just focusing on one thing. I have multiple things I'm focusing on, and it can feel like overwhelming. It feels like a lot. It feels not just surfacey. So, a lot of the people that I've met, most specifically on this trip in Phuket and Phi Phi Island, have been amazing. Just like people who have made me feel so at home, that I feel so understood. And I understand that when I'm talking about everybody who backpacks, I'll probably have to do a separate video about this themselves, which is the inner journey of the backpacker, the person who, why they leave home, and not everybody's leaving for the same reasons. Some people go to party, some people go to find things about themselves. So it's almost like a hermit kind of energy. And so I met someone, and I wasn't kind of sure how to understand it. Maybe it was like almost like a previous life, past life connection. I wasn't sure if this was like a karmic cycle. But then I started doing a card reading, and some messages came through, and it wasn't for me to really like talk about, to tell somebody what I thought it was, but like just to communicate the messages that came through. And so it was just like kind of freaky for me too, because I've never been in a card reading where I felt like I completely related, like it was almost also about me. But knowing that I was just a person communicating the message, I had to remove myself from it. So when questions came up, it was just kind of like heavy, like I didn't know what to make of it, and to the point where I'm like making my own YouTube video, like what the fuck, guys. What do I make of this connection? Like, how does it work out? Um, but in this card reading, when I was in a trance, I communicated with somebody else who had just deceased, and I was talking to this person. This was the spirit guide of this guy who I was reading for. So yeah, I'm just in a hostel now while I look for the next steps in Chiang Mai. So sorry for that. But it is um, okay. Yeah, I was communicating to him the messages that his grandfather wanted me to tell him, and it said, "You found her," and then that was all he said. But I felt his spirit. He just like loved me so much, but I didn't want to say what I thought I felt it was. But I mean, in this kind of situation, it was very sticky. Like, oh, I'll have to do another video also, like what it's like to be psychic slash intuitive, clairvoyant, things like that, clairaudience. But for now, yeah, the relationship was very interesting because I have also extrasensory abilities, and so it felt like it's very noisy today. Just a bit confusing for me because like I knew what I felt, and so experiencing that my heart was so open, this guy kind of like felt, maybe, I don't know, he said whatever it is. I got to experience this again, and I recognize that in traveling, because it's so introspective, it really matters nothing about your age, race, gender, anything like that. And it never really does usually, but in this situation, because you were experiencing so much personally, there's all kinds of energies and past life things and things that kind of come to you very quickly, and you don't really know what to make of it. It feels very confusing, like, and a lot overwhelming and very intense, and like things are happening really quickly. And so in this relationship, I was kind of sure not to take any advances because I did write a book, and I shared a chapter of my book with this person, and he just kept saying he wanted to be in it, and I was just like, really, you trying to be up in this? Like, I don't even think you can, like, you can't even handle this even on like the worst day. You would not be able to like hold any water. But it grew into very like deep friendship, and like I was able to talk to him about things that were bothering me, and I felt like I was, because I'm just genuinely myself, it didn't feel much like a stretch um, to open myself up to any moments where I felt vulnerable. I just felt like he was able to also be there with me. And so things kind of manifested from there into something a little physical. Uh, Not sex, but just like physical, just beyond friendship. And then it kind of scared this guy because I don't know how, I guess I would feel if somebody read into my future and said like I found him. Like I would be like, the fuck? Like, are you a witch? Did you put some kind of spell on me? I just felt like it would have been very interesting for me to have that kind of message and not really know what was coming at me, to have a very old soul but a young body. And so chronologically in this physical realm, it developmentally, it's just like a lot is happening psychologically, and knowing what you already have, I know that it was a lot until like it got to a point where after this happened, he had become withdrawn for like 2 days, and he hadn't come to bed, he hadn't come to sleep. He would like stay out all night, just like sleeping on a couch somewhere else. And then I was gonna go to the northern part of Thailand, to go to of Phuket, which is where we met, to go with a friend. She invited me to come with her, and then she shared that, oh, it's also his last day too. Honestly, I didn't like And this kind of relationships, like everybody's so close, you're in like such extreme proximity to each other. Like, how is this gonna happen? Like, what next? And I didn't quite understand, like, oh, what are the next steps? Like, how am I gonna move forward? How do I give this guy space? Do I talk to him about it? He's my best friend first. Like I'm also experiencing this. Like, I don't have to go through this alone, especially if it's about the two of us. Like, I didn't understand what next. I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. So then when she told me that it was also his last day, it just felt like the exact same kids and the experience that I had in Ghana where everything was just like ripped out from under me. Like I was standing on a rug and then it just fell. Like, psh, there you go. And I just cried like, fuck, like that is like one of the most disgusting things you can do to a friendship. And then I recognized what I had done to the girl I was telling you about in my previous video. It was like, I think you should just run and tell your family you're sorry. And she was very close to me. She also told me to like take the money from the lawsuit. Um, I recognize like now she didn't quite understand everything or anything. I don't know what I should have done. Like she's much younger than I. But I recognized how painful it was when I was just gonna like dip out of the loom and not say goodbye to her, and she just was so upset with me. And now I understood like this is like the most painful, it's like the rudest thing you can do to someone. And so it just felt like the exact same thing. Like I loved these kids and I loved this guy. He was like my best friend every day. Like we did everything together every day. We ate, we swam, we partied every day. Talked. We shared very like deep moments of growth together. And this is quick. Like I said, like traveling will age you because. You become much wiser. You become more in tune with yourself and where you're going, and it will age you to a place where you're not so prepared. But then I felt like turned this into something else. Like maybe it wasn't. Um, I just felt like maybe he had the maturity, hopefully had the maturity to handle something physical, but then it just became too much. But let me back up because like I feel like I'm getting way ahead of myself. When I was with the girl and she invited me to come with her, she told me that it was his last day too, and I just felt like I said, the rug was pulled out from under me. Our friendship, what the fuck? You like we were so close, then you weren't even gonna say goodbye. You were just gonna like leave. Then what the fuck? So I told her, okay, listen, I have to tell you something. The person that I had been talking to you about that I liked, but I wasn't sure, like, did I like have these feelings? It was just like a friendship, but like maybe it's something more. I don't know. And she was convincing me like sometimes it's. She didn't know who this was, but she told me like sometimes you can't. You have to remove your image of what you think the person should be like that you like, and just like kind of accept the person that you have because it's not really a list. It's just like how do you feel? And then I told her like honestly like we are in a reggae bar. When I get stoned, I feel like he's not gonna be enough. Like I'm just like way too powerful for this guy. And then she just said, like every time you're not near, all he does is talk to you all the time about us, about how you read his cards, how he was skeptical at first, but then you like brought forward the name of his grandfather, and how you're so funny and you're gorgeous, and um, he's feeling something. Somebody who like didn't want anything, who really didn't feel anything, would not act the way that you had. So now fast forward, this was like supposed to be like kind of the end of it. Like, what the fuck, this motherfucker, blah, 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 right? Like, can't handle anything like mature, whatever. So now we move forward. And a couple days ago, I ran into him like just by accident. I just wanted to give him space because like I told him like I'm 20, like I'm much older than you. I don't even think he knows my real age. He read a chapter where at the time I was 27. um but now I'm like 29. I'm almost at the end of my 20s, and like he's much younger. Like I just felt like, what the fuck am I gonna do with that? What am I gonna do with that? Like, come on, like this young dude. But the truth is, like, there's areas where I'm more and more impressed by